Hey, my name is Mandy Johnson. I am a physical therapist, athletic trainer, and owner of Renegade Wellness. And this is part three of John's story about his low back pain and how that has affected his ability to be productive at work, just live his life like he wants to, how he's able to interact with his family, and how he's just unable to do the things that he needs to do for life. So, uh, when we last left John, we discussed a little bit about how John probably wasn't. Maybe he did get referred to physical therapy, but he probably wasn't referred to physical therapy since only 8% of people with low back pain ever get that referral. And again, that is not what is supported by the American Pain Society. That's not what's supported by the American College of Physicians. That's where that recommendation is coming from. It's not a physical therapy biased recommendation. It's physicians saying that that should be your first stop. Once we get your pain calmed down enough to where you can walk a bit, you can get a few places, you need to go to physical therapy. And again, that's only 8% of people get that. And, sometimes it also can be prohibitive because with physical therapy, we're going to want to see you more than just once in the period of a few, over, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, just to get you to where you're all the way better. And, as the way it is right now, physical therapy is a specialty. And so a lot of times there's co-pays involved. If you haven't met your deductible, that's also something that John might be thinking about in the back of his head if he did get a referral. So now let's just talk about how this part of the year, because we're now about 3 months out from when he wasn't able to get out of bed that one Saturday. And we already talked about how he knew he had a little bit of high blood pressure, how we knew he wasn't in the weight range that is healthy for his body, and he has low back pain. Since that time, John's also just gotten, honestly, a little bit depressed. He can't do jack. He can't go out. He can't sit on the bleachers to watch his son's games. It just hurts to sit on those hard metal benches. You got to get up, move around, can't do anything like he wants to do on the weekends. Work is just miserable. He can generally make it, partway through the day, but not all the way. It just doesn't feel good. So let's talk about what that means for his productivity. So now he's not alone either. There's lots of employees at work that have high blood pressure, that are a little bit overweight and have some other issues, maybe depression, maybe they have low back or neck pain, and just not feeling perfect, not feeling great affects, again, how we can work. It's not because they're bad people or that we're judging them. It naturally makes them not feel good. And we all know what it's like to feel crappy, just not able to get done what we want to get done. So average of 3 to 5 days for high blood pressure is how much productivity overall that we lose from just having something like that. We call high blood pressure the silent killer because people don't know that they have it. And there's no one particular symptom that I can tell someone to look out for. It's one of those things that comes along with, honestly, some lifestyle choices. So being a little overweight, that can lead to having some high blood pressure. Again, being a little overweight sometimes makes it harder for us to do specific things. And so obesity can cause some low, decreased productivity at work, something less than 5 days for an average person. Again, that neck and low back pain, though, that's really the kicker. If someone has suffered with that, if someone's really having a rough time with neck or low back pain, they're at work, but on average, they're going to have 10 days of decreased productivity, which is just hard. They're there, they're trying to do it, they're trying to knock it out, but they just can't do as much. And then the real big one that is sneaky that we don't really think about is depression. So when someone gets depressed, again, that's one of those things, like mental health is that big black box we never touch. We don't like to discuss it. We have a lot of taboos around it, a lot of thought processes on, if you could just pick yourself up by the bootstraps, then you wouldn't be so depressed. And mental health strength is something that good people have and weak people don't. So which is so backwards. You should definitely. I have way benefited from therapist help in the past. It's not anything that we should knock or poo-poo. It's something that we really need to support, but depression is something serious, and that can decrease someone's productivity somewhere in the neighborhood of 17 to 18 days a year. If you've ever had depression, that's something that approximately 6 to 8% of all working Americans will suffer every year. They'll have a depressive episode. And that's probably underreported, because we don't feel comfortable talking about something like that. It's not something we can see externally. It's not like when someone has a little bit extra that they could lose, like being a little overweight. That's about a third of us. Or high blood pressure, which is, that's a lot more. That's 30 to 50% of us have high blood pressure. It's hard to get an exact number because that's one of those silent things. We just don't know to check for it because we don't have any symptoms. So, Joe Schmo walking down the street or Sally walking down the street doesn't know to go get checked for high blood pressure because there's no one symptom that they feel that makes them think that they need to go get something looked at. And again, that getting out of work to go get seen by a doctor, it's tough, and you have to really prioritize yourself. I mean, I have enough problems just getting scheduled to see a dentist and making that a priority, much less making sure that you check all the boxes, that you go see the doctor once a year to get your annual wellness exam, things like that. That's just, it falls by the wayside because you have to get your kids here, your dog to this, or the things that we like to do for fun. So it's totally understandable, but productivity loss is really significant for all these different diagnoses. And feel free to reach out to me if you want any of the research on this. I'm a total nerd, and I've read a lot of articles, and I'm more than happy to share the nerddom. So from here, we're going to go on to part 4 video, which just discusses the road to health. So how would we move someone towards making healthy choices at a workplace? How would that happen? What would that look like? So we could make it so John's story doesn't ever happen. So looking forward to seeing you again for video 4.